Welcome to this video. We are going to talk about inverses in this video. And as you can see here, you have an f of x function. And with your f of x function, let me circle this, that's the one in blue. Okay, so f of x is your graph in blue. And then your f inverse of x, which is the one in red, is your inverse function of f of x. And this notation you see with this little -1, that's how we indicate an inverse function. Okay, and this guy over here, this y equals x, this is the what we call excuse me, the identity line, and you can see that that's coming right through the middle of this first quadrant and this third quadrant. And these are your points where your y and your x are the same. So for example, let me come up here, like this point right here is 6, 6. Okay, and that's whatever x equals y equals. Okay, so your y equals x line is going to be, you know, the points like 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, and so on. And you can see how if you were to take this and it was on a piece of paper in front of you and you folded it on this line right here, the blue graph would fold over on top of the red graph. Okay, and you can also see this point here where the graphs are crossing over each other right here at that y equals x line. All right, and these are all characteristics of inverse functions. All right, and so this is a great set of notes for you to work with here to build your knowledge on your inverse function. So let's scroll down, and you can see down here they've summarized a lot of the things that we've just talked about. Okay, your f inverse of x is a reflection about the line y equals x of your original function f of x. And down here we are looking at a table of values. So this is our f of x function, and this is our inverse function. And what they're doing is giving you x, y points. This is your x and this is your y. Okay, and you can see if you look down here in the chart below, the y value became the x, okay, and then the x value became the y value. So they just switched with each other. Okay, and let's go to this third column here. You see you have an x value of 0 and a y value of 1, and down here your y value is, sorry, your x value is now 1 and your y value is 0. Sorry, I'm tongue twisted there. So with inverse functions, this always happens. Okay, if I have a point of 0, 1 on my regular function, my inverse function is the reverse of that, 1, 0. Okay, and so on. If you look at this column over here, if I have a 0.25 on my function, I'm going to have a 0.52 on my inverse. Okay, so let's use what we just talked about to do some exercises. So I'm going to go back to these sets of problems here. Okay, so get with me in your note pages. So what they're doing in number 1 here is giving us a set of points. All right, and this is what we call a relation. And they want us to know, to state the inverse set. So all you got to do is reverse those x and y values. So if I have the point 1, -3, my inverse point would be -3, 1. And just continue this for all of those problems, or excuse me, for all of those points. Okay, and that's pretty easy, right? Let's go down to this graph that they're giving us here. So this is your f of x function, and what we're going to do is create the inverse graph. Okay, so I tell students all the time the best thing you can do is create a table of values. Okay, so you want to just look at the graph that's given and grab a few points. So maybe this point here would be a good one. So that is an x value of -4 and a y value of, let's say, maybe 2.6. 2, 4, 6, and maybe like 2.75 maybe. And it's okay if you don't get that exactly right. And then let's grab maybe this point here, okay, -1, 2, and I'll grab this point here, which is 2, 1, and lastly I'm going to get this point here, which is 3, 0. Okay. Now your inverse function is going to be the result of switching each of those values. So my previous function I had -4, 2.75. Inverse function I'll have 2.75, -4. Okay, and all you do is just switch each of those points. Okay, and then you want to graph those points. So I'm going to stay with this red color here. So 2.75, -4. And go down, down, down. Runs off the screen a little bit down here, but that's okay. And 2, -1, 1, 2, and then 0, 3. Okay. And your y equals x line is always a good thing to put in there. So let's change to a different color for that. So your y equals x line is going to come through right through the middle of that first quadrant and the middle of the third quadrant. Make sure you're thinking about the points like 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, and so forth, and then just sketch that line in. And now I'm going to sketch in this inverse function. So I'm just going to try to connect these points here as best as I can. Okay, so we want that same curved look. Bear with me. This is the very awkward little thing to sketch with. All right, here we go. It's like trying to sketch on a very, very slippery board. Okay, and then let's label this. This is f inverse of x. Okay, so now in your mind, imagine folding the paper on this y equals x line, and you can visualize how the f of x will fold over on top of the inverse. Okay,